Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the Instant Reaction. Arsenal 1, Wolves 0 at Molineux. That game and that result is a massive... Can we swear? I think we can swear. I don't care that this video gets demonetized. That is a massive fuck you, PGMOL.
Yeah.
Fuck you and your incompetent staff. It is... That is all... Honestly, that game... there's football to talk about, of course. There's, Havertz misses and how well we did with 10, whatever. If we'd lost that game, I would have considered retiring from watching sport. I was so angry. We'll come to football, obviously, but unfortunately, we're gonna have to spend a lot of this talking about the referees.
I need like 30 seconds.
Crazy.
I need 30 seconds because I've never been this angry since you've known me, period. I've never been this angry on Twitter. This takes from the beautiful game. I want to go away from football for a second. It's not about the damn points or the trophy. This is about integrity of the game, the sport, and I don't want to hear anything else because, I didn't feel like celebrating today. It got to the point where it took me out of the game. I felt apathy. I'm glad for the boys. I continue to watch for the boys because they deserve better. That's what the truth of the matter is. And when you sit there and you're going to be subjected to something like that, a decision like that, then what's the point? What is the point of playing the game when you're going to be reffed that way? You are the person to uphold the rules of the game. The rules of the game flow through you. Forget the PGMOL, forget the narratives, forget the whole idea, this bullshit about cards. I can't look anywhere beyond the word incompetence because that's not incompetence. That's not incompetence right there. That's not you misinterpreting a rule. That's not you trying to do and change something to your own viewpoint. That for me, I've never seen a decision like that in my life. My entire 29 years of watching football, playing football, I've never seen that decision in my life. And I don't know how to contextualize it, mate. Genuinely. Like I'm looking for your perspective. I'm looking for perspective in the comments. Forget the Gomez red card because it's not about that. Like if we're going to accept and bend the rules and constantly do this to the same man, by the way, that has gone and already earlier this season done this for 6 points. Gomez, the very player that he sends off, by the way, kicks the ball away at the start of the second half. The same referee that lost 6 points earlier in the season does that to Gomez at the beginning of the second half. Nothing. So at what point do we sit there and say, okay, let me look to the other parts of the league. Let me look elsewhere. Let's forget this rivalry-based commentary. If you're somebody that has ever done martial arts, you bow to the mat. If there's any sport, you bow to the officials. He has taken away the sanctity of the game, and for me, it's unacceptable. I don't buy this. It goes beyond the 3 points for me, and I have never been this angry at a decision in quite a long time. Shame on you, sir. Hang your head in shame. This is your job. And you've sat there and you've disrespected the game. Have a look at yourself. And everybody in the media, I don't want to hear a single word other than it's shameful, it's ridiculous, we need to do better. I didn't want the boys to come out for the second half. I was that angry. And I don't know what to say. If we're going to accept that, forget the rivalries for a second. If we're going to accept that, let's have a disingenuous game. Let's just admit to banter and let's act like we're 2 years old. Let's do that. Let's lean into it and let's just say that this is a cartoon. Because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yep, well said. It's absolutely unacceptable at this level of anything, but let alone a sport with this much money in it, that it is refereed so badly. It's unacceptable. But and like honestly, I think you said it there. I would have been okay if the boys didn't come out for the second half. That's how angry I was. I would, and who, as you said, like, who cares? Honestly, yeah, United fans, Liverpool fans, whatever. But at what point is a team going to say, actually, this is enough? We won't allow you to ruin our game anymore. It's not okay. And do you know what's even worse is he knows he fucked up, because the first 15 minutes of the second half, he's giving every 50-50 to us. Like, balls are clearly ricocheting off our players and they're going out. He's like, oh yeah, Arsenal throw in. No, you know what you did. You know what you did, and you're trying to fucking rebalance it. You're trying to rebalance it. It is absolutely insane. And I don't know at what point, and we have these conversations. How many conversations are we going to have about the level and the standard of officiating in this league before something actually changes? And this is why I kind of, at halftime, I was kind of like, let's rip it up. Like, let's do something. Like let's make a stand. Let's do something, because someone has to do something. And put it this way. There will be people listening to this who are like, oh, come on, you know, just go out for the second half. No. At what point do you say, actually, this is enough? What would that look like? Oh, maybe a letter to the PGML. No. Well, letters to the PGML don't work. Maybe we could put more money into refereeing. Well, that doesn't seem to be working. So what is it that is going to actually change something in this country? It would be something, by the way, like a team not come out for the second half. It would be that. And I was okay to do that, genuinely. It is diabolical. Diabolical.
It makes you apathetic. Why care? Why care about something? And you know what? Like, I think what frustrates me the most out of all of this is that there's going to be people that are going to sit there and try to make it a he said, she said argument. There's going to be people that want to become tribal about something that isn't tribal. This is not tribal. This is something that...
This is the sport.
This is the sport. And you know what? This isn't even about level, whether you're in the grassroots football, whether you're sitting out there with your mates in the park and someone yells foul. Foul. Like, you play to those rules. You don't just go and sit there and hack people down. You don't go and sit there, pick up the ball, and throw it in the back of your net. If we're going to sit there and we're going to go and accept things like this, then we might as well turn it in, mate. That's it.
Yeah,
that's as far as I gotta say on the topic. And I'm going to try to be tactical and bring my head in, but I'll be honest with you. My head's gone. I can't believe it. And I think Arsenal and the league should step up. Like, this should be something. It's not even just this one decision. It's not even just this. At some point, the league needs to step up and say, you've all felt this way in the last 2, 3, 4 years. Why do you, us as fans, accept it? Why do we think it's okay? I don't understand it. I've asked you this question before. Why do the PGMOL have so much power in England? Why? I don't understand it, because they certainly aren't the ones that are paying all this money. They certainly aren't the ones that the product is about, even though they want to make it about themselves. It's not them. So why do they have this much power? I don't get it. And they're not universally liked. This is what boggles my mind. I don't think anybody that is listening to this stream hasn't felt this way in the last 5 years of watching football at least once. Every single fan base. So at some point, I don't know, mate. No offense. Like, at some point, shame on us. Like, at some point, we all feel this way. We're all connected, but it all becomes tribal. It's got to stop.
Well, what's funny, George, is today it was so bad that I was looking on my timeline and it was United fans and Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans going, "What is that?
Yeah.
What is that?"
Because they're
worried. That's how bad it was.
Because if that's the level, they know, look, for as much as football fans are tribal, they know at the very least, if that is accepted, what the hell's chance do they stand the next time it happens to them?
Ivan Smith, how much more do we have to suffer for the PL abandons the bell ends at PGMO? I mean, this is the thing, as we're talking about, like, it goes beyond Arsenal. This is unacceptable for the level, for the amount of millions that are on every game, let alone the whole sport in total. And genuinely, if we lost that game, I know we banter about stuff, but like my love for the sport is starting to wear off a little bit, because you just go, well, I can't actually watch the thing I like because it's ruined by these guys. Here's some cash because PGML are, I won't say it. Well, I'm pretty sure we're already demonetized, but you know what? We're already demonetized. Sorry for the bad language. PGML accounts. There you go. Petition. We've already said that, the F word. Petition to fire Michael Oliver. Is it possible, mate? The one that gets me We will get to football eventually, I promise. We'll talk about the football. The one that gets me is the Kovacic one, because he didn't want to ruin the game. He didn't want to ruin the game, George. He didn't want to ruin the game. So it's not a red card. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Harry Scary says, get in. Very deserved win today, boys. It's good to see the decision finally go our way. And that moment of luck that Alex has mentioned on previous podcast has finally come. Well, I will say, when they missed that Sarabia chance early on, I thought, okay, is this our day? Kind of not that it turned out sort of the way I expected it, but in some ways, yeah. So maybe we can, because we do talk about luck a lot, and actually that's Sarabia chance not going in and the whatever. But I'm not attributing that Gomez tackle to luck. I'm sorry, it's a straight red. It's a straight. Oh, Kai Havertz.
Well, don't get me started.
No. Dane Howarth, Mike Oliver reffing teams over 50 times. Arsenal first with 8 reds, Liverpool with 1 red, City with 0 reds, Everton with 5 reds.
It's not a statistical trend. It's a outlier. It's an outlier at this point. It is.
It's not acceptable. Michael Oliver, it's all about you. It's all about you. It's not about you. Mochman, you got it wrong. It's not about him. Thank you for the super chat, mate. I really appreciate it. Ivan said, if the red isn't overturned, Miles misses the game against City, who paid Oliver to ref in the UAE, and Newcastle, who Oliver supports. I think if that isn't overturned, I actually don't understand what that appeals process is. It's got to be overturned. That's not a debate for me. That's not but I mean, we've seen what happened today, so I don't know. Saliba monster class, man of the match in my opinion. So proud of the team. Yeah, let's start to come on to some of the performances then. Jurrien Timber, take a bow. David Raya, take a bow. William Saliba, take a bow. Calafiori actually, when he came on, take a bow in terms of coming on. Some of them hang your head in shame, but there were some brilliant performances out there today.
Yeah, I think David Raya in particular, I felt like somebody that really grew in the match. And before even the second half, I thought he was big today in many moments. And he was taking responsibility. I mean, even after the red, well into the second half, I think it was Ray and Nuri, that save that he makes late on, as well as the tackle that he makes on the 1v1. Yeah, mate, William Saliba down to 10 men going up the pitch. And, I think Martinelli had a mare today. But, willing the team on. And you could, the one thing is, I think when you see these things, you start to see the heart of the team in specific areas. I'm looking at Declan Rice, the way that he gets us up the pitch consistently, because in that moment, especially right after the red, between the red and halftime, I felt like that team was dead. And it was basically Declan Rice, William Saliba attempting to keep things level, attempting to push. And there was a lot of people that dropped, a lot of people. And I hope that we can get into a section on Kai Havertz. I think he deserves one. But beyond that, I also think that, Calafiori played very well when he came on. I think that Kieran Tierney delivered a top quality cross again. Every single time he's come on, there's not been a cameo that he's come on the last 4 or 5 games. He hasn't delivered a clear chance from wide positions. Conversation to be had there.
If we had a player attack the ball, that would help.
Yep. But in general, I thought Jurrien Timber was brilliant too. There was just sometimes I felt like he was overcomplicating it, but as far as a defensive performance, that was one of the better ones that you'll see. And especially for the energy that he gave going up and down the pitch. Whilst he was on the pitch, Miles was phenomenal. Whilst he was on the pitch, unbelievable. And that first carry was. And people are giving him the ball in very dangerous situations. And I think I'm sad that, we are where we are. Ethan, I felt like grew into the game. I felt that he had a tough start and then started to really play. And he is somebody that for me needs 100 touches in a sense before he starts to feel comfortable. And when he's in there and he's able to, I felt like as a team, we were playing very risky passes to the start. And I was actually really enjoying it. I felt that there was a level across the team of really looking for some penetrative passing that I don't think we've even seen in recent weeks. So it was really encouraging to see. And then we get hit with the monstrosity. And we took a hit. I think we were very ineffective. Between that red card and halftime, we were hanging on, and it was period of essentially we felt injustice, but we were all shocked. Like, I think the team looked shell shocked. And again, I just really saw Declan and William Saliba step up. But then after that point, to start the second half, to the credit to the boys, there was a fervency and an aggressiveness that wasn't there all match. And that goes down to the team. So I'm just proud of them. I'm proud of the response, and I'm proud that they didn't let what happened overshadow them, because I don't know if I could have been that good. I don't know if I could have been that willing to participate in the game after something like that. So credit to them and their heart.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I stress ordered a McDonald's. I was out. I was fully gone. Like, honestly, like, yeah. So credit to them. And this is something we said as well. Like, you know, in the midst of this season, which has just been absolutely mad, it's going to be hard to remember sometimes the performances in the moments when things didn't go our way, because we'll just remember the things that didn't go our way. But players like Declan Rice in this run, players like Jurriën Timber in this run, Gabriel, Saliba, Raya, these are the guys to build around, because their performances in the bad moments, their heart, their willingness to play, their ability to get us up the pitch, all those things, it's huge. Weirdly, I thought we were better 10 versus 11 versus 10v10. It became more of a basketball match, but actually I thought we dominated the game much better. That obviously top of the second half. I did feel, just coming onto stuff a little bit more 11v11, I thought, I thought Mikel thought they were, there's a sort of a couple of things I look for when to decide what I think Mikel thinks of a team. We're high pressing them. We're playing through them, not over. We're going central through them. We're carrying through them. We're jumping right on the goalkeeper. I thought, we think they are terrible. and I really wanted one of those early chances to come off, and it didn't. And obviously then the incident happens and you're talking. But yeah, I mean, maybe let's come on to Havertz. Just give us a sec just to go through a couple of super chats. Thank you so much to Destructor, who says this is for George because that was unacceptable. Thanks. Yerisu says, if MLS was a red, Ike Nori on Timber and Gomez was straight reds, I'm fuming. This is the worst decision I've witnessed watching Arsenal in 20 years. My housemate came in and I was like, what was the penalty? And he was like, oh, the Fulham one. I was like, yeah. The Saliba penalty against Fulham was the worst decision I'd seen watching Arsenal until that. So what's that in the space of like 3 games? It's absolutely mad. Nathan Piper, refs are bad, but do we think the game states we find ourselves in make the ref become more influential more than the other big 6? I don't know.
Well, if you're talking about how we do it, I don't think so, because if anything, we control games. If anything, you can say that Arsenal are a team that are maybe quite boring, that sustain football in high areas, but then don't create transitions, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a result of Arsenal. I do think that what has happened to Arsenal and Arsenal getting good again is an impact on the referees. That's a discussion maybe for a later time, but I do believe the fact that Arsenal are of the big 6 teams, because I don't believe Tottenham to be really that rated well, but you know, Arsenal took the biggest and the longest hit of being out of relevancy and being good again and getting those decisions. And you were owed it. It was part of becoming good. But I do think that's played a part to play in terms of the refs' ability to ref us. But I'm not giving excuses to anything close to what's happened today or what has happened to us for a large part of this season either.
Josh Miller says, PGM, welcome. It's the ultimate sin of stripping my emotional attachment and engagement to the sport, but still love Arsenal. Yeah. I mean, credit to them, because, I would have got on the bus and gone home. Let's talk Kai Havertz. It was a really, really poor finishing performance. I thought actually his overall play was fine. And he did his running. But at some point, a centre forward at Arsenal, especially away from home, I would be fascinated to see hang on one sec. I would be fascinated to see the breakdown between Kai Havertz away from home and at home. And away from home, we really struggle with him. That's like, I think there's something about it. I don't know, but I don't know his numbers. If anyone has them, please tell me. But yeah, that's one of my big concerns with him.
Okay, so one of these things, I mean, people are going to call it tactico and, get annoyed with it. But I've always called Havertz a space invader and not a box dominator. Those are very specific points for me. And it's because no matter what you will say, Kai Havertz will always have brilliant movement. No matter what. For all the really annoying moments, he creates quite a bit of chances because of his movement. He will always get those. But when people start talking about having box efficiency, and, every time I've heard Kai Havertz as a starting center forward for Arsenal long-term talk, the biggest thing I said is There's no box efficiency there. You know, when people cite his aerial dominance, I've said, no, I don't agree that it's dominance. He's good in the air, but he's not dominant in the air. And, you know, we've constantly seen that when he's in high moments. The first chance that he misses on Trossard it's inexcusable for me. The only thing that's going through his mind is make a connection. There's nothing about guiding the header to either side. There's nothing about seeing where the cross is coming. It's just, let me get there. And it's reactive. Okay. And there's nothing proactive about his box finishing. Nothing. There's very much proactive about his movement. All of that is proactive, and it leads to good opportunity. But none of his final action is proactive. It's completely reactive. And it's why, for me, he'll go on runs, but he'll never be consistent in terms of dominating the box. So we know this as a player. I'm frustrated with it, beyond peeved with it, because I think that, you know, he will always give you good chances and he will give you good output because of the movement. So that for me is something that he'll always have. I just don't think that you're ever going to have 300K worth of talent, which to me screams you're starting consistently. But at the same token, and I'm going to end on this, he's somebody that has played every 3 days consistently with basically no preseason, and he's been available and he's there doing the hard yards. He's doing the hard yards in the press. So thank you. I just don't know if we're talking about a starter here. I have to be honest.
Do you know what it screams to me? It screams to me like an Olabe coming in and going, look, Mikel, I know you love him because he's always available, and I know you love him because he does all your great stuff off the ball, and I know you love him, but this might have to be the first big sale. This might have to be the big sale just because of his wages and because of the output that he has in that position. You're going to have to find different solutions. And this is where, because Mikel will look at him and go, look, but he gives me all this stuff. And yeah, okay, I'm not getting that, but I'm looking elsewhere. He might have to be convinced about him because it's not at all. And I don't think you're saying this at all, or that I'm saying this at all, that we think Havertz is terrible or gives us nothing. Of course he doesn't. He's been brilliant. But in those types of games, we so clearly need something different. It was one of those games that was on an edge where you go, one moment changes. Maybe that's Bukayo Saka, but you need someone else in your forward line. And I think there's so many centre forwards out there that I'm looking at that I go, you know, you look at Šeško or Osman or, you know, Omrodjian or whoever it might be, you look at and you go, it's out there. And I'm looking on the left and I'm going, I don't know if I see that same level of domination that you're sort of referring to. So yes, we've got loads more super chats. We'll come to, thank you guys a lot for that. We'll come to the stats now. From Scott Willis, 0.5 expected goals to our 0.8, 9 shots each, 4 shots on target each. They just edged us on possession, 442 passes to our 420. Exactly the same amount of final third entries, 1.3 expected threat created to their 0.6, 32 deep touches to their 13, and 20 zone 14 touches to their 15. Fairly even overall, I would say. Obviously, considering what happened with the red card, how long is that with sort of 11v10? That's about, I can't do the maths. It's about half an hour, isn't it? So yeah, that's half an hour, 20 minutes. There's the shot map. Yeah, I think I'm surprised there's not sort of some higher numbers there for some of those Kai Havertz. I mean, this one must be the Trossard one, the ball in from Trossard, and that's a much bigger chance than that for me. Much bigger. And I can't remember that Wolves chance. That might have been the 8 Nori one, maybe.
Or Sarabia at the beginning.
Oh, could have been Sarabia, yeah. And there it is. When all else fails, we win on the field tilt, 64% to 36%. Although I'm too annoyed at PGML to celebrate. Let's come to some more super chats. First decision bad, but then Gomez no straight red, says Trader IQ. Yep, it's horrendous. Does the club need to ask not to be refed by Oliver? I mean, I would love that. I would love that. But then who have you got? Chris Kavanagh? Did you go? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure you're allowed to do that. I don't know if you can, but I'm sure we can ask. I hope there's at least a club communication. Hopefully this evening or tomorrow or maybe Monday. Like we're speaking to the referees about this because this can't go on. There's got to be some kind of communication.
I maintain that having 8 red cards, being the most red carded team that you're given, and the next one being 5 and 3, okay, is weird. Then when you combine it with what he's done again earlier on in the season and not been consistent since. It's not like he's not reffed a game since the beginning of the season, but cost us 6 points. We could have been cost 9 points today. Like, make no mistake about it. That's a brilliant dig out by Calafiori, but that is something that Arsenal win, not Michael Oliver, gives us back.
Yeah.
And mate, if I walked into the season and I told you we got a signing and he won us 9 points, what would you be saying? That's a top signing.
Yeah.
It's significant.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it 100% is. 100% is. Sent off more AFC players than any other teams, as Mafio, as we've discussed a little bit. Thank you for super chat, mate. Reese said I had to talk myself down from writing to my local MP. Head is in the stratosphere. I know my old MP in my old constituency, but I don't know my new one. So maybe I have to find out who that is. Thank you, Reese. JSTN says we need a striker so bad. Kai is dying out there. What? We need a different profile. Whether Kai plays there in some games, I'm not against that, but we need just a different set of skills up there. It's so needed. Nifemi says Martinelli, oh boy, hand on my heart, I think I could have done better. And Havertz, let me just assume he's tired. Yeah, we haven't discussed Martinelli. Bad day at the office for him. Bad day.
Yeah. Overrunning his touch, running into blind alleys, Ampadu.
Not as bad as Wolves. How many balls did they put out of play? Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah.
I'd be furious.
Yeah. And the amount of free kicks that they gave away too, knowing how much they suck on free kicks and dead ball situations, and how great we are. Not a bad day at the office. I struggled to, but even Thomas Partey I thought was really somebody that struggled. Look, there were some struggling performances out there, no doubt. It's just I struggle when you've got something like that. And for all of the Martinelli stuff that we're talking about, he still was somebody for me that was consistently snapping back into defensive position, making those runs. If there was an outlet, it was Martinelli. Consistent.
It's his pass that led to the goal as well, wasn't it? I think.
Cut back on his weak foot cross.
Right
from that position. So, I don't know. I struggled to really critique a player today.
Weird season for Martinelli, because I'm watching him and I'm going, I'm wanting more. And then I'm looking at the numbers and going, you're actually doing all right. Do you know what I mean? But I'm watching him wanting more, which is it's a sort of weird. Often it's the other way around. When Area is so direct, he needs to start more often. I'm not coming in a game like this with an incident like this to critique a 17-year-old. Like, I'm not going to do it. I thought he was hiding a little bit in the first half. He just couldn't quite get on the ball. I think it's something to do with the pockets and the way Wolves were occupying them. I didn't think he had the best chemistry with Martinelli and Timber down the right hand side. It happens. I actually thought once Miles went off, he went up a gear. I think he stepped into the game, which is a big sign for me. Similar to Aiden Heaven in pre-season. I actually don't mind when young players, have a period or have a game, whatever. It's how you react in bad moments. And that's what I'm looking for. And I think Ethan did actually step up after that point.
I do think, to be fair, also, the team needs to trust these guys, both Miles and Ethan. Like, how many times do we give the ball in situations when there's 3 or 4 players surrounding them? These guys can get out of that situation. And I think the team have trusted Miles because he's played with Miles the last 2 or 3 games a little bit more. But as the game went on, I thought he really grew. And I just thought, Ethan needs, basically, he needed another 15, 20 minutes at the end. And he needed 11v11. But he grew into the game, started slow. And I saw some things that I go, okay, you know what? With you a little bit of confidence, you're going to sit there and you're going to deliver.
Yep. Incompetent, Elisa, with a very kind super chat. Thank you so much, Michael Elisa. Incompetence is not a referee applying letter of the law consistently against one side. These are determined outcomes for whatever reason. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but expect malpractice where large sums feature. I'm presuming you're referring to brand envelopes. Look, we had a discussion about this, didn't we? Because
I don't remember.
Basically, we both agree. I think, and maybe I'm mischaracterizing the argument, but here's what I think happened. I think we both agree the refereeing in this country is abysmal. I think we both agree that Arsenal have been on the bad end of things. I think we both agree that there's something needs to be done about it. Maybe where we disagree is basically you think it leads us down. Please correct me in a second if you think this is wrong, but you think it leads us down a more corruption perspective, and I look more in the incompetent side. I mean, whatever happens, those first three points are addressable, in my opinion. But where do you stand on that now?
Where do you stand? I know, like, when I look at this, the only thing I know, and I maintain from that argument, I would like a better reason as to why. The only thing I know is I do see Arsenal being ref differently in many occasions. And it's clear. And it has been clear this season. And I'd like to know why. If it's not corruption or subjective bias, which I actually think plays a bigger role in the corruption point, I think that the media narratives is very dangerous. I do. And I think it's not just Arsenal. Like when you talk about a team that is dirty and tactical fouls constantly on air and you hear it constantly on air, you're going to think when the next time you see this team, are they doing that thing that everybody told me they're doing? And that by its very definition is bias. By its very definition, to hear that and question it, whether you act or not, it's bias. And we carry this in all facets of our life. I really don't think that referees are immune to that. So I think it's a little bit more, if I'm really being fair, on the subjective bias lens. But mate, when you see things like this and you see it so consistently, again, I don't remember a team this season so consistently reffed to a law that hasn't been reffed again since. So I can't explain that. I'm trying to be genuine and come at it from a non-corruption angle. And I see, we said it at the time, didn't we? Like when we had the argument, I say, okay, let's see if it gets reffed like this throughout the next months. We're now, what, 6 months or 5 months later? Have you seen other teams taken those red cards yet? I haven't. For God's sakes, Gomez, with the same ref, had the chance to do it in this match, and he didn't do it. The very same ref that had the exact same logical conclusion to it, had the chance to prove that that wasn't the case and didn't do it today. Gomez clearly kicks the ball away and he sees it. He's in line. There's none of that issue of not being in line. So I'm more on the bias end, but I am saying that the corruption angle is not as, or at least not corruption, but something along the lines of why are Arsenal ref differently? Can we not agree that Arsenal are ref differently more consistently than other teams?
I think you can argue that, and I think maybe where I was misunderstood at the time by a lot of our viewers was I was not ever arguing Arsenal weren't ref differently. I was not ever arguing that there's not something up. I was not ever arguing that PGMOL aren't clearly incompetent at their jobs. The bit I was arguing was the absolute security of some of our fans that this is a genuine intentional corruption, and that's the part that I go, I'm not saying I don't know, but to say 100% is you're jumping the gun a little bit. I think it's an incredibly serious accusation. I think where I maybe come to you is and agree with you is basically I think Arsenal have a case now to go to the PGMOL and say, look, here's what's happening. There's incidents like the Martinelli incident. There's incidents like the Miles incident. There's precedent-setting refereeing decisions that are happening in the Premier League consistently to this team under this manager. By the way, can we have a serious conversation about what that is? Because for example, and do we need to talk about Mikel's? Has the comments affected things? I'm open to those conversations. The thing I was always sort of against was the corruption thing, but also, and maybe I didn't make this clear enough at the time. The Jared Gillett? No, who's the guy who got sacked?
Oh God. It's not
Lee,
Gillett.
not Gillett. I can't remember his name. The dude who got sacked in the video came out. I never said that there's not a possibility of corruption. Possibly, I don't know, but it's that sort of security that
David Coote.
David Coote, that's fair. That I shy away from. Havertz scores 70% of his goals at home, says Dane Howarth. Yeah, this is kind of. And again, on an away day, and kind of what we were talking about earlier with Rice and Calafiori and stuff, these guys who open out their legs and run and keep pushing, that force, we need that in our attack. And I think especially away from home, there's more game states where you need that.
Can we have a little section on Calafiori actually?
Sure.
Because this is a player that people don't seem to realize, I think, is younger than everybody except for Saka. And
same age as Butler or Odeji, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Same age as Butler or Odeji. Okay, look, he's had an injury issue this season. Let's call it what it is, right? Hasn't been able to string together a couple games. His most important contributions are City for me, and today is an important contribution. I think the way that this guy responds to setbacks is unlike something I've seen, and he has a mentality that is something that I haven't seen. And whilst I think there are things that he needs to improve because he's so young, I see a really phenomenal mental profile and base there. And what I hope happens is, out of the real disgustingness of what's happened to Miles, I hope Calafiori rises. I hope Calafiori rises in these next 3 games to sit there and remind people that he still was our biggest signing over the summer. He's got the talent to prove it. And I think he's been unfairly criticized by the fan base personally. There's some things that I've seen online that I really don't agree with. This isn't a bad signing, a bad player. I think he's a very important player that just hasn't been able to stay fit. And I mean, we're burnt by that because Arsenal fans and injuries, lol. That history is fun. But beyond that, I just think he has shown a level of very consistent composure and technique in times when 9 out of 10 players wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time. Like that City goal and this goal, the technique on that goal, mate, is crazy. An inch or two sides, that's not going in. And it's through bodies, it's on target. It deserves the praise, in my opinion, that I don't know if it's getting.
I can't remember that. Well, it'll be overshadowed. I can't remember. Again, it's the same game state where he scores a great goal, but it gets overshadowed by a ridiculous referee decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember the exact quote, but Mikel said something about he loves the thrust he gives the team, or it was something like he loves the sort of the I can't remember exactly, but his bravery and it's almost and his chaos. He kind of said something about that along those lines, and it's about sort of just knowing when to use it. And I think he is one of those players who when he knows how to use that chaos, he can bring us stuff like this. I don't think this is the last time we'll see that sort of thing happen with Calafiori. Not at all. Yolan Lamore says, feel sorry for the boys, especially Miles. That said some awful corners today, by the way. They were awful. Although it was Trossard weak foot.
Couldn't really get it over.
So, why aren't we mixing out if we can't whip one in and beat first match? Yeah, I mean, it was a concern. To be honest, this will get lost in the things. And I think criticising our corners is maybe we're a long way away from that. Cesar says, thoughts on a Cunha edition? Well, I thought Saliba absolutely shut him down.
But I think he showed exactly why we weren't crazy about him on the scouting. Everything that we saw, there were moments.
Also, sorry to cut you off. Hate his attitude. Hated that he messed up that pass to Kwang and he had to go at him. Hate that. Hate that in a footballer. Hate it.
And he did it multiple times. I don't know if people were actually watching, but Wolves broke and he has the ball and he makes the wrong pace of pass. And we saw this on the scouting. This was not a player. This wasn't something that we didn't see. So I think, I don't believe that. Look, he solves things that we don't have. If you're talking about Cunha in the box, he scores the chances that Havertz misses. I think I agree. He's a good player. Is he 80 million euros? No, hell no.
Yeah, and with Trossard and Jesus and whatever, there's a conversation. But George, honestly, go watch this guy. George, we looked at the through ball section, and George called this is a lot of overcooking and undercooking as well, but it's not quite right. Norby says we insist on in-swinging corners, which goes to the point of using Trossard using his weak leg. We would have wished that we used an outswinger just once. Yeah, look, I don't disagree with this. I just think going after our corners when we don't have when half of them were on the wrong side, we don't have Erdegaard, Wanyeri, or Saka. I get you, and I do agree, but I'm not going to spend too long on that. I don't think it's fair. Mojo Man says, guys, I was referring to the Michael Oliver chant. No, we know, but I think you miswrote it. Michael Oliver, it's all about you. Or it's not. I swear it's not about you. Anyway, whatever. Thank you for the super chat. Dan says, always disappointed we don't have a song for Calafiori to the tune of the Balamory theme song. Do you know that, George? The Balamory theme tune?
If I hear it.
Calafiori. Yep. What's the story in Calafiori? Canadians. Martinelli is a something Brazilian. His name is Martinelli, more Italian than Brazilian. Definitely the level rater at left wing. Sell Nelly in July. Look, we will definitely have a conversation about everyone in the squad at some point. I think when on days like this, it's important to take away and remember. I don't know. I just don't want to go too far on any narratives. On days like today, I just don't want to go too far in on a conclusion when bro's playing 10v11 after the game. We've got the most ridiculous refereeing decision I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry. I just don't want to go too far in on that. George, let's finish with this. I want to read out, and this is to credit the club, not to make excuses. This is not an excuse.
So what you're saying is...
Arsenal squad, this is before today, percentage of Premier League minutes played, 24-25, and this is to credit the team for the win today. Raya, 100%. Miles, 21%. Tierney, 1%. This is the percentage of Premier League minutes played up to today. Tierney, 1%. Calafiori, 36%. Kivior, 16%. Zinchenko, 12%. Gabriel, 87%. Tomiyasu, 0%. Saliba, 88%. White, 35%. Timber, 80%. Jorginho, 23%. Rice, 79%. Marino, 42%. Odegaard, 61%. Partey, 85%. Who would have seen that going? Wanyeri, 12%. Saka, 64%. Havertz, 84%. Martinelli, 65%. Sterling, the guy we signed to deal with this, 12%. Trossard, 65%. Jesus, 30%. This is a team that has not had consistency, that has had bullshit refereeing against them. Bullshit. That has had crazy fixture luck at the top of the season. That has had some unbelievable variant swings, penalties, last-minute winners, fitness, form, whatever. Yes, we've made mistakes. George and I have covered however many times that there are mistakes being made. No one's saying there isn't. But this is a team that has had very little consistency, and to win today, to keep ourselves in the title race, again with Odegaard and Marino going out, I found myself going, I'm just proud, honestly, at this point of a lot of the things that we're doing. I think we shouldn't ignore that just because PG and will. I'll see you next Tuesdays.
Yeah, it's just the only thing is to go into the team, right? Like, I think we've said everything that we have to say about stuff off the pitch. I feel better, at least, than when I came in through this therapy. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with us and staying in here. I feel better, like I've got some stuff off my chest. But I look at today and I'm proud of the boys. I look at today and I don't know, mate, just like the fight. And, I love Calafiori banging the chest. I love that he goes to Mikel. I love the reaction. I love stepping out to the second half, being more aggressive, and, really taking the game to Wolves after what is a gut punch and after what many couldn't be blamed for apathy. If I saw the team apathetic and muzzle through, I wouldn't have blamed them. I felt the same way. So to go out there and bring the game to them is just something that, I'm really happy about. And I can't wait to do as Fair Nipin scouted.
I was literally about to ask you about that. We should. George and I are both very busy next week, unfortunately, so we'll probably have to do it week after. But I mean, it probably won't go through before next week. I doubt it. I think he's taking his time. I think he's talking. But weirdly, I don't know if you've seen this, but like Fabrizio saying he's going to City and United, and Ornstein saying no. So
yeah, I don't know. I think he's just doing his rounds, but I do think that we have a very good chance. And I don't know. I've been talking about this kid for over a year, so I feel like it would be amazing if it was to materialize.
I mean, I made this point last night. Naipan, Wanyeri, Miles, Rice ain't going anywhere. We just signed Marino. We're trying to sign Zubamendi. I prefer not to speak. Mikhail Saburov says, corruption very possible, bias 100%. Look at how badly Liverpool's ref when Klopp was there and how Slot hasn't got almost any bad calls this season. Refs are biased to clubs and managers. It's possible. It's not that there's a conspiracy or corruption, but Arsenal rarely ever get the benefit of the doubt from refs. Look, I think ultimately, as we were sort of talking about before, and thank you both for super chats, PGML pricks. I just want to leave it there. I'm so glad we got that win, because honestly, this might have been an hour and a 50-minute stream of me just screaming and swearing. We'll be back. George can't make it. Unfortunately, he's got a deadline coming up. So Rohan and I will be back on the main podcast on Monday. Got Data Pod coming for you. Got an instant reaction to Girona on Wednesday. TCP Live Thursday. All that good stuff. So make sure you subscribe to the Cannon Podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you, George.
Thank you, good sir.
Fuck you, PGM. Well, thanks for watching. And thanks for keeping Arsenal.
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.